Well, hello, that's me again. Today is the end of the weekend. It's Sunday, December 3, 2023. And let's not put away our goats, so to speak, and in the long box. And we'll start with a thing which probably you have to start with when you talk about such people as Mr. Lloyd Austin, Lord Austin as we call him. And the guy actually spoke yesterday, I believe, and Mr. Medvedev actually reacted to his speech, and he immediately posted on his Twitter, or whatever the name of this stupid platform is, X, and he says that, yeah, U.S. Defense Secretary revealed military secret, quote unquote, and he talks, Lloyd Austin has admitted the true goal of Ukraine support is the modernization of the U.S. military industry. Dmitry Medvedev says. And as Lloyd Austin himself says, oh yeah, some $50 billion, it's like a pocket change, but hey, whatever. So he says that some $50 billion of our supplemental budget request would flow through our defense industrial base. And that will create or support tens of thousands of good American jobs in more than 30 states. That includes making missiles in Arizona, vehicles in Wisconsin and Indiana, and artillery shells in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Texas. And let me put it this way. He didn't stop there. He also went on and started to talk about that, you know, he basically traditional neocon geopolitical tropes that he calls that those who advocate is isolationism and an American retreat from responsibility. They're bad people. United States must reject calls to turn away from global interests and become more isolationist, he told the audience of lawmakers and corporate and defense leaders. Well, corporate leaders, that's the only thing he knows how to do, being the member of the board of Raytheon. He has pretty much next to zero military ability, and I don't want to, you know, if you want to listen the real professional opinion on him from people who know him personally, it's like Colonel Douglas Macgregor. You are free to go to Douglas Macgregor and especially his conversations with Judge Napolitano, and you will hear the proper opinion about abilities of Mr. Lloyd Austin. He is no realistically military man, despite being the U.S. Defense Secretary and the graduate of West Point, I believe, something like that. So, anyhow, the point is that Mr. Austin continues to, you know, gaslighting this, you know, astroturfing, whatever the hell those terms mean. But he spoke again of those tropes about the fact that United States will not allow the, you know, Ukraine to lose and not allow Russia to win. I don't know. He is U.S. Secretary of Defense. He has the highest clearance possible in the U.S. government structure. So I'm pretty sure he should be getting the proper information about what is going on. And if he thinks that he can prevent Russia from winning, which Russia already won the war, but it's just a matter of now, you know, basically mopping up what's left of the Ukrainian armed forces. Well, good luck to him. He should take some classes on the military history and theory of operations and operational planning, which evidently he is not very strong in. So, and yeah, he has to ask Taliban in this particular case how United States can prevent, for example, you know, Taliban from winning. Evidently, it didn't. Now you're talking about nuclear superpower and how he wants to prevent Russia, which now actually growing its armed forces, and with Russian military industry firing on all cylinders and outproducing the whole NATO combined in every single category. I don't know, but again, you know what? It's the modern Washington, modern establishment. Those people are completely removed from the reality. Some of them know facts, but even they have to kind of toe the party line. And, well, what do you expect from them? That's what Mr. Lloyd Austin there for. And he basically continues to, you know, with this garbage, basically, about how United States is the greatest fighting force in the world and the greatest economy. economy, which it is not. It's so not that I cannot even explain to you how bad it all is, that even some American people begin to notice that they looked at the Scranton ammunition factory, and they suddenly begin to, you know what, complain about the ramshackle view of it, and, you know, and things of this nature. But what, here it is, some pictures emerged recently of the inner workings of the Scranton Army ammunition plant, one of the handful of factories producing heavy caliber ammunition for the US military and Ukraine. These were apparently taken in February this year. And the question is, of course, for the generation, whatever Z or whatever the hell, millennials, who got used to thinking that you program something in Python, write the code, and then those Teslas and phones magically, you know, appear out of the thin air. This is the real, actually, metal working production facility. It might be ramshackled, but hey, it produces what, 11,000 what's the name of it, shells in a month. It's about 2 days worth of well, probably less than that. I mean, yeah, it's probably 1 day for some of the parts of the operational axis of Russian armed forces using those shells. But hey, the issue here is not that thing is not aesthetically pleasing. Any metal works. Any metal works, which especially does fairly, you know, straightforward things like 155 millimeter shells. It will be ramshackled, it will be kind of somewhat dirty. It is not this what should worry people. It is the fact that there is not a single young person in any picture when you look at those pictures. And that means the cadre hunger. And basically it's starvation on cadres, because most of those people are after 50. And as you can see yourself, even from those very rare few photos, there are very few young people, if any. Nobody goes to work on the manufacturing floor anymore in the United States. And fact is, if you read attentively recent media, like 2 days ago, I believe, they talk about that fewer and fewer youngsters in the United States find any value in higher education, college education. And truth is, I totally agree with them. What do you need education for when you go to something studying what? PR, public relations, communications, whatever the heck is this, you know? But this is primarily what those colleges provide. The only real education you can get is actually, and which will get you somewhere, is STEM. It's, you know, technical, engineering, you know, science. But it's hard. It is extremely hard. You need to have a very serious physical, forget about mental effort invested in that. And that is hard indeed. And then you have to pay those ridiculous, huge sums of money just to get the, you know, bachelor's degree in, let's say, some kind of engineering. And that's what is happening right now. And that is why the United States is forget about reindustrializing itself. It tries to do so, and it has some possibility of success here, unlike it is with the Europe, which is being deindustrialized at their, I mean, absolutely ridiculous rate. But where will you take people? Well, you will import them, I think. That's what the United States thinks. But again, this is all wrong, and that changes the nature of the beast, which already has been deadly, well, basically has been dealt the deadly wound and is dying, because the system itself ceases to exist now, I mean, ceases to operate. And that's what is this all important about Lloyd Austin, who still thinks that he can prevent something. He cannot. The United States has no military or industrial wherewithal to actually do anything about it, let alone against Russia. But, and here we come to the very important point. My good acquaintance and or person you all know about, you know, this whole situation connected to Ukraine and special military operation and arms control, Scott Ritter. He wrote an excellent piece in Consortium News about the, as you can see yourself, it's called the end of the U.S. nuclear superiority. And the reason Scott's article attracted my attention, I read pretty much most of what he writes because we know each other, and he is an excellent brain, and he is a man of the good integrity, you know, in terms of the whatever comes to the warfare and war. And his expertise in this particular issue is especially important because Scott for many years have been the inspector in the nuclear arms disarmament between Soviet Union and then Russia and United States. So his opinion is that opinion of the good level professional, and that is why it is important to pay attention to what he's saying. He wrote it 5 days ago on November 28th, and as he says that as Russia modernizes its nuclear arsenal, it is no longer interested in trying to patch up an arms control relationship with the United States based on the legacy of the Cold War. And he absolutely hit the nail on the head here with Scott's hammer, because actually this is absolutely true. And I've been talking about this for many years. You can look up some my exchanges and articles by Larry Johnson also about this thing, because obviously Cold War legacy arms limitations treaty, they simply do not work. And the reason they do not work is what Scott actually describes in the second, basically, part of this article. And what can I say? I mean, let's kind of get to it. And here he writes, Russians believe that strategic arms reduction treaties, individually and collectively, were never designed to produce nuclear parity, but rather to sustain U.S. nuclear superiority. The New START treaty have been singled out as an example of U.S. duplicity, where the Obama administration kept issues pertaining to missile reduction separate from missile defense, promising to address each separately, only to walk away from the missile defense once the missile reduction treaty, New START, was ratified. Well, it's a modus operandi of most of the American administrations, and they indeed, the reason they do it, because they are ignorant. There is something wrong with the strategic assessment and strategic analysis in the United States, which doesn't reach, evidently, people who are absolutely illiterate in any issue of the geopolitics and strategic balance of power, such as Obama, or for that matter, Trump, or for that matter, Biden. And here is what Scott continues. When New START expires in 2026, Russia is positioning itself to pursue its current nuclear modernization program free of any treaty constraints. This will complicate the nuclear modernization efforts of both US and UK, whose follow-on capabilities being developed at a cost of hundreds of billions of dollars will be inferior to the systems Russia is in the process of deploying. They are already inferior, and some of them are generation or even two lagging behind. And that's where Scott concludes that Russia will not entertain any negotiating process which seeks to nullify its strategic advantage, especially so long as the US and its Western allies embrace policies which paint Russia as a strategic enemy and seek the strategic defeat of Russia. That's what Mr. Austin tries to, promote this idea, not having tools or toolkit for this whatsoever. And I'm talking about not only industrial, but technologically, because as I'm on record, you can quote me on this. United States lost the arms race to Russia, period, especially in strategic weaponry. And then we have Scott concluding that instead a new strategic relationship will have to emerge based upon modern realities, where the United States either must spend huge amount of money to reach nuclear parity with Russia or negotiate from a position of strategic inferiority. The day and age of unquestioned American nuclear superiority has passed. And if you think that that only Scott who talks about it, here's the reality from Brian Berletich. And Brian is always, extremely insightful when speaking about issues of the weaponry and its use. And here he talks about magic missiles versus very real industrial limits. And China's rapid rise economically, writes Brian, and militarily creates a closing window of opportunity for the United States to exploit its perceived existing military advantages over China in a conflict now rather than later, after China irreversibly surpasses the US by all conceivable metrics. Keep in mind here that Russia already surpasses, and I will explain why, so much that now China talks about some things we'll getting from Russia. And Brian is absolutely correct here, pointing that there is only one window of opportunities between the United States and China. With Russia, it's over now. And as Brian concludes, it could be argued that this window of opportunity has already closed, and no amount of reorganization or rushed missile development can make up for the United States' fundamentally weak industrial base and the fact that it seeks to wage war against a nuclear-armed superpower across an entire ocean, and do so off that targeted nation's own coast. Considering the role military-industrial production has played in the conflict in Ukraine, and the weaknesses revealed in this regards across the entirety of the West, one wonders why the US believes it can somehow outproduce and outfight China if it was unable to outproduce and outfight Russia. And that is the whole point. And as you can see yourself, many people are on the record, many people stress these ideas that, hey guys, I mean, United States is not, in terms of military and in terms of technology, is not what you think it is. And I mean, it became so bad, for example, in Ukraine, that even these people, and I'm talking about the Spiegel, these are German guys, they are completely detached from reality. Most of them are morons working in the Lügenpresse, as they call it in Germany. But look at this, even Der Spiegel says that, and it is yesterday. President Putin says his country has become stronger since the invasion of Ukraine. Unfortunately, he is right. His semi-totalitarian rule and even the economy are stable. That's why he doesn't even think about quitting. Well, of course, they're stupid, the same as this Dorit boy, whoever, you know, this lady is. She's dumb, but even she will, you know, continue to, you know, provide those tropes about democracy, semi-totalitarian things. Even she has to admit it, because somebody obviously of real professional expertise came to this, you know, just cesspool of the German journalists and told them, you know, guys, time to change the tune because we screwed. And, well, they are screwed. And basically, if that hasn't been enough, we have also Mr. Peskov speaking again, you know, yesterday. US-centric world ending, says Mr. Peskov, who is the spokesperson for Kremlin. Peskov made the remarks on Friday in response to an article in Financial Times. That's another cesspool of the morons from the UK. All those guys who won't know what the difference between, you know, anything which is related to the real world, real industry, real economy, real technological development. But he has to respond in this, and he talks about the article by the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Energy Resources, Jeffrey Pyatt, revealed that Washington was aiming to cut Russia's oil and gas revenue in half by 2030. Pyatt, who served as the U.S. ambassador in Kiev during the 2014 Maidan coup, also said that American sanctions against Moscow would stay in place for years to come, as long as it continues its military operation in Ukraine. Mr. Pyatt, who has whatever, absolutely useless degrees across the board, and he was the guy who indeed was in Ukraine during the coup in Kiev. I mean, how the heck he ended up being the Assistant Secretary for Energy Resources? I don't know. I mean, don't ask me. This is how basically corrupt and how completely dysfunctional American system of government is. And so when you begin to look at the totality of this whole situation with American industrialization and what Scott and Brian wrote about strategic, basically, well, it's not even advantage. Russia beat the American United States technologically in military field. I mean, it's not even funny. It's not even fair to compare anymore. And here is the what we need to really keep in mind when Mr. Stoltenberg says, and Mr. Stoltenberg, you know who he is the guy who runs NATO. Well, he doesn't really runs NATO, he's a figurehead, but, well, he's the, you know, the head of NATO. And here what he says yesterday, oh, actually, no, today. And he talking about the situation in Ukraine in interview to the German TV channel Das Erste, he says, we need to prepare for bad news. Conflicts developed in stages, but we must support Ukraine in both bad and good times. And he also mentioned this increased demand for ammunition, which neither Europe nor United States can cover, and they will not be able to cover it because, I mean, it takes much more than just money to do so. And here we come back to Scott's piece and Brian Berlecic's piece, and to demonstrate to you, which is actually hidden in the basically in the open. You don't have to go there and do some special research to understand how bad it is. Just to give you an example, let's go a few years back, and if you go a few years back, namely 3 years back, you can recall this. It's the Defense One news, and remember this? October 7, 2021. Dark Eagle has landed. U.S. Army finishes equipping first unit with hypersonic capability, minus the missiles. Okay, yeah, sure, there was no missile. And already then I stated, there's gonna be, there will not be missile for a long time. It was all PR. It was all to demonstrate, oh yeah, we provided, you know, those containers, those radar or whatever the heck, you know, those communications which allows to obtain the and develop the targeting for this missile. Do you remember this super pooper duper missile by Mr. Trump, and how those idiots first said it will take 5 minutes to fly to Moscow, then they change it to 21 minutes, but so they say it's hypersonic glide boarding. It was 3 years ago. And, well, guess what? I'm getting sick and tired of me being correct and right about this. So just recently, November 8, 2023, U.S. Army highly unlikely to field hypersonic glide weapons this year. As you can see yourself, and guess what? They cancel the test, the other test failed, and you know what? And things continues on and goes on and on and on, and they think that they can actually, this is the intermediate range missile, they can develop this gliding body which they control. And this is one of the things which many people do not understand. Well, it is one thing to develop material science to such a level as Russians did, to start to produce those hypersonic gliding vehicles, glide vehicles, or hypersonic missiles, be them aeroballistic like Kinzhal, or be them anti-shipping cruise missiles such as Zircon. So it's not enough just to have the material science on the top of the world, and you have to have an extremely serious development of the physical processes which are behind that. You need to know how to control all that. You need to know how to command update those vehicles and those missiles. You need to know how to provide them the ability to actually detect the target, then find, search and detect, and then of course lock on. How do you do this? Well, that's another story altogether. So the United States followed this situation with the Dark Eagle, which still doesn't have missile. And again, they rushed to do it, you know, this year because they desperately need to, you know, show something. Obviously, this year, forget about it. They're not going to deploy it. And who knows when they will deploy it in 2024. And there is another funny thing. They say that they need to at least one successful launch of this thingy. Well, let me put it this way. This is not how real testing done. You launch things until they perform consistent confirm the consistently their tactical technical data, and then you know that the system is working. So what do they offer? Okay, let's launch it once. Okay, if it gets the successful, okay, cool, we have the new weapon system and we get its initial operational capability. No. This is not how it works, my friends. If you look how Russians were basically testing their Zircon has been launched through all kinds of conditions by the surface combatants, such as the brand new Russian frigates of the Gorshkov class. Then of course you have there, for example, Burevestnik, the Petrel, which was failing, and then it failed once catastrophically. But guess what? Russians continued to launch them until, well, guess what? Recently it did it so successfully. Russians will continue to test it. And then when you begin to look at it, and you can see yourself that no matter what Austin offers, all those measly $50 billion in the United States, they basically buy you nothing. And that they want to reindustrialize the United States. I mean, my gosh, I cannot even start here to list the issues which pertain this whole military industrial base and what you have to have in order to develop a top-notch, state-of-the-art weapon systems, which United States is, I mean, it's lagging behind Russia in this respect. But again, not only generation, probably by generation or two. And here comes, we're going back to Scott, and I want to point out a very important issue which have been described, again, as already stated by me and Larry and other people who understand the technological dimension of the arms race. And this is that. Here is what you can see yourself. Here is S-500. This is last year, well, 1 year and a half actually ago, and here's Putin announces deployment of S-500 air defense systems. Russia's most advanced anti-aircraft and anti-missile weapon are already being delivered to the military in serial production. And here it is. The S-500 Prometei, which is Prometheus, was designed by arms manufacturer Almaz Antey as continuation of its family of long-range surface-to-air missiles, as it believed to have a range of 600 kilometers and is capable of intercepting targets traveling at hypersonic speeds, including the warheads of intercontinental ballistic missiles. Let me put it this way. United States doesn't have anything like this, not even close. It is not funny, and as what is important here, this thing not only works against the intercontinental ballistic missiles, including the integrated with this the complex of A235 Noodle, but it is also capable of intercepting hypersonic vehicles. Those, yeah, proverbial hypersonic glide vehicles, which United States still failed to develop. So basically, Mr. Putin was already on the record stating that, you know what, we already have it, so we not only can attack, we can defend against this. And then you can take a look at this thing. If you look at this, this is S-400V, pardon me, S-300V4. It's a tracked vehicle because it was developed specifically for the defense of the frontline troops against the intermediate range and short-range ballistic missiles and hypersonic targets, including all those glide vehicles and things like that. This complex, which is the continuation of the Antey class, systems, while Western media and some like Wikipedia give it a very unfair treatment in terms of missiles it carry, but you have to know that actually this thing is capable of shooting down of the hypersonic vehicles of Mach 14 plus. And it has all set of the missiles for that, and it already proved itself being capable of doing this, including at some 2 years ago having the longest range intercept of the air ballistic target, which was something like it. You can look it up. I believe it was first 250 kilometers and then it was 400 kilometers. It wowed the world. And again, United States has nothing comparable. And to demonstrate to you, let's go about 15 years ago. There before S300V4, we had what is called the anti-S300VM, which is kind of previous generation of this. And Rosa Baron expert gave this comparison of the capabilities of the systems compared to Patriot Pack 3, let alone Pack 2. And as you can see yourself, considering the fact that we now know that Pack 3, all those declared capabilities are garbage, basically. It's trash. I mean, it doesn't perform as obviously stated by all those, advertisement booklets, which United States basically pushes on people. And as you can see yourself already, the previous generation was beating Pack 3 badly. And look at this. Even the max target of the meters per second in terms of the speed. In this particular case of the ballistic missiles, as you can see yourself, the Ante-2500 was capable of shooting down the targets which were traveling at 4,500 meters per second. So divided roughly by 300, well, you get around basically Mach 13, 13 and a half of the speeds. Pack 3 is stated as, oh yeah, it could do that almost Mach 9. It cannot, but hey, that's what they declared, and we know it's all for the basically advertisement and pushing this idea of the American technological superiority, which is not there. It haven't been there for like at least 15 years. And so when you look at this, oh yeah, so, and this is just the older version. Now you have S300V4, which has the basically is in serial production, and then you ask yourself a question: how much do those things influence strategic balance in strategic weapons negotiations between Russia and the United States? Dramatically, because they are mitigating factor, which also allows to blunt the even if to consider the United States commits suicide and goes at the basically first strike. Yeah, Russia will still be destroyed dramatically, I mean, in many respects. But these weapons, these systems, they will blunt dramatically the effect of this, and they will allow to preserve the basically the political and economic top and control of Russia, even in this catastrophic state. In 5, 7, maybe 10 years, the Russian anti-missile shield will develop to such a degree that it will blunt even all out the attack on Russia. And this is when we have to keep in mind the fact that United States understanding this, and some of them, they do understand that. They understand how badly they miscalculated due to their hubris and illiteracy, is that, who knows, there could be some insane, I mean, mad person or group of persons, such as, for example, neocons, and they will decide to try the fate, because they understand after that United States will be relegated completely, which is already happening, into the, major power league, so to speak. Militarily, so United States already doesn't compare with Russia at all. I mean, and yeah, what can I say? And this is what I wanted to tell you today, and this is very important because this will continue to provide, so to speak, the framework for your understanding of how they think in Washington. And they think they are such a great, strategists. They are not. They suck at it. They suck at military science. They suck at all of this. I mean, yeah, what do you know? So, and this is what it is for today, guys. And again, I want to express my profound gratitude to my wonderful patrons. And again, I know who you are, guys. If I don't respond to your sometimes messages, please, I really cannot respond to all of them. But no, I know who you are, and I'm eternally grateful for you for that support. So, what can I say, guys? Have the nice rest of your weekend, and I'll talk to you next week. Well, bye-bye.